want to kind of turn to some slightly better news?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it looks like the NFL is raising the salary cap, and just with where we are right now, before any retirements or re-signings and all that stuff, it looks like we're going to free up some money to spend on some talent next year, which we're really going to need.
Yeah, it's so last year the bump was 22 mil to the cap. The bump this year is now 26 mil. So we just basically gained 26 mil. You have to remember every team did though too. So it's
yeah, absolutely.
But
you can't base. You can only focus on what you can do to make your team better, not. I mean, if you've got two decisions and they both make your team equally better, then you can start debating, which decision is going to hurt the other teams more at that point. But, we went up 26 million. Yep. So where were we before that? So where are we total now with that 26?
We were at 906,000 roughly.
Woo-hoo! So
yeah, under 1 million. But a lot of people, so there's all kinds of stuff that just here right at the top of this conversation before we talk about like what we need and stuff like that. There's all kinds of stuff that we can do to like free up cap space. So if we want to restructure Mahomes' contract, we could make we could free up anywhere from 19 to even up to 39 million, depending, the more we free up, the more it, is a pain in the ass in the back end. But we could do that. We could, and I don't like this idea, but both Juwan Taylor and Joe Thuney are making about 27 million on the cap this year. There's no possible way we extend Juwan Taylor.
No.
It sucks too, because if he didn't have so many false starts, he's a great right tackle. He causes so many problems with the false starts that it
snowballs. It's never one in a game. It's five in a game.
Yep. So we need to just keep him the one last year and let him go. But Joe Thuney's older, but we could restructure his contract and free up anywhere around 10 to 13 mil, right?
Wow.
Say Kelsey stays, okay? Kelsey decides to stay. He's got a $19 million cap hit, right? What we could do with Travis is we could restructure Travis's contract with a void year in it. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what a void year is, it's where you basically take pieces of a contract and move that payment to a year later or multiple years later, but with the understanding that the player is never going to play in those years. So it's guaranteed money. It's just basically talking the player into being like, are you cool with getting the other half of your salary a year later? Is basically what it is. So if he wanted to play one more year, we could do that. We could split it in half. We could put, 8 mil on next year's cap and free up 8 mil there, right? Those would be huge. Now, Chris Jones, I don't know what to do with Chris Jones because he's already a little bit older, and I don't know.
When you say he's already older, you're talking just in terms of contract.
His age. No, I'm talking about his age. I don't know
you're not talking about his play on the field, though. That's not been diminishing.
It diminished a little bit this year. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think he was near as dominant.
I think the reason for that was the end was such a crutch for this defensive line.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Until the Super Bowl, once Amenahue came back, it got really, really spicy there.
You could restructure him and supposedly save up to $20 million in the restructure, but I just don't know. I'm feeling a little scared on Jones. I'm hoping that he, proves to be wrong next year, but this year he just did not seem to have as much of a push. I know he hurried a ton, but I just don't know. We didn't see the defensive line come to life until Charles Omenihu came back. Creed Humphrey could I know he was just signed last year, but he could restructure and free up, $2 to $5 million or something, right? We now get into what we have to keep. We do have money theoretically now. We know the Chiefs are going to do some of these restructures. We know they just got 26 more mil on top of the cap. So now we have to look at what we want from those. And Trey Smith would be great to keep, right? And so would Nick Bolton. But
I'd rather Justin Reed and Trey Smith if we're going to be able to keep two of them. I love Bolton, don't get me wrong. I just think Justin Reed is a little more important.
I just don't get that. Bolton, I mean, I don't know, man. No, he is slower, but his ability to see things on the field and tell everybody the play before it goes is pretty impressive. And I guess I just have to see what Spags thinks, but I really think Nick Bolton is an underrated player. Now, I will say that, but if we're going to keep Nick, then I'm down to keep Nick at 9 to 11 mil a year. Bolton is cool staying for that. If Bolton's looking for top middle linebacker money, like 18, 19 mil a year, I say go take your payday, bro. Not willing to give that much. That's where I'm at with him. And I'm definitely not down with using the franchise tag on him. Franchise tags on linebackers are absurd because of 3-4 outside linebackers that are edge rushers. So they're still marked as a linebacker. They should be marked as a 3-4 linebacker. Like that should be a thing. Because if we wanted to franchise tag Bolton, it would be more than Trey Smith. It would be $27 million instead of Trey Smith's $24 million. Just because the highest paid linebackers are outside linebacker pass rushers for 3-4. Yeah, so if you want to franchise tag a linebacker, it's absurd because you're literally looking at the floor prices of these premier pass rushers in a 3-4 offense.
So is that somebody that's under contract, but they're being offered a bigger contract, and then you can lock them by franchise tagging them?
Yeah. Each team can tag one player, and you can lock them for 1 year. Yeah, so like for instance, last year we franchise tagged Snead, and then we traded him, which brings me to my next point. I would kind of love to franchise tag if we can't get a long-term deal done with Trey Smith, like a long-term deal with Trey Smith, giving him what he's worth. The first year would probably be only like a $10 million hit, so we'd be okay, right? That's if we can come to an agreement, right? If we can't, I would love to see Trey Smith get tagged, and then we can trade. He's the second most coveted free agent on a lot of people's lists in all of free agency.
So it has to be a free agent.
Well,
that gets franchise tagged.
Yeah, because
not under contract.
You wouldn't tag because normally you're paying a huge chunk for just that 1 year because you're paying them, the average of the 4 top players at their position. So
you don't want to franchise tag a punter.
And you don't want to franchise tag a linebacker at all unless you have a 3-4 offense and he's a premier pass rusher. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3-4 defense. Sorry. So if we franchise tagged Smith, a lot of people disagree with me, but I think Brett Veach could find somebody who would give us a first round pick for him. He's the second most coveted free agent in the NFL right now. If he couldn't get that, I bet he could get a second and a few other picks.
Wait, franchise tag him, and then he plays the next year on that tag, and then trade him. So you're talking about
we franchise tag him so he can no longer go talk to other teams. He is now locked to the Chiefs. The only thing is, if that backfires and we can't trade him to anybody, then we're stuck paying him $24 million for 1 year, and we still don't have him locked down. So therefore, he's now taking up $24 million. And we need offensive tackle really bad. We need money to buy that. So yeah, it would be great because right now we can't trade him because he's a free agent. I think we could get a lot, and that's how we grew so quickly was with the Tyreek Hill trade. We got so much from that. And if we could get a first for Trey, it would be huge for us. But I don't know. That's where I'm at on that.
But the only problem with that, when you say we need a tackle, a left tackle specifically, from what I understand, this draft class is really weak in the tackle position.
Super weak.
So using that strategy to hope to get a first round pick, what do we really expect to get out of that first round pick?
Well,
is it going to be a tackle?
Yeah, but we would have to have an earlier first round pick. Like right now, we're at the 31st, and there's one tackle that could maybe fall to us, but the others are gone. Yeah, if we could get an earlier first round pick, we could maybe get a tackle, and we might have to end up trading picks to get one. I mean, and I can't think of anybody. I've been trying to think of it. I can't think of anybody that has one that we could use that, is not good enough to be able to trade with them for them because it's a position that's extremely hard to find people for. And yeah, it's the only thing that's got me pretty worried. But, so offensive tackle is the number one on a lot of people's lists of what the Chiefs need. But number two is wide receiver.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by this. So
I was too.
But if you look at it, DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, and Mecole Hardman are all free agents this offseason. So that leaves us with Rice,
and Sky Moore.
Not as bad as Kadarius Toney still. We're kind of up the creek. Now, as far as free agents are concerned, Mecole Hardman, I really feel like we're going to get him back for pennies because nobody's been able to do anything with him successfully. We've talked about that, and he's had heroic moments with this team.
He
knows Patrick Mahomes.
He's like that puppy that are that dog that you fed and that you let come in for a bit, and then you found his owner, you took it back to his owner, and then 2 weeks later, he's, come all the way back to your house and he's at your door again. That's Mecole Hardman. He's just never leaving.
And that's okay, as long as he keeps doing what he does for this team.
Unfortunately, I don't want to re-sign Hopkins.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with you on this.
Well, let's see if your reason's the same as mine. What's your reason?
He doesn't really fit the traditional receiver type that we use him for. He's either a number 2 or he's a slot, and we've always gone for speed in the slot, and he doesn't have the speed. And as a number 2, you've got to have some speed, and he's fallen off in that. I think he would have worked a lot better in a Tom Brady offense as a slot receiver, but it's just not what the Chiefs offense. This is not the way the Chiefs offense is set up. Is for that kind of guy.
Yeah. I think he's an amazing wideout. And when we brought him on the team, I talked about his differences, and I talked about how Mahomes has never had a wideout like him. And specifically, that means a wideout that you throw it to and he just catches it while he's covered. Mahomes, I thought he could get over it, but it turns out he can't. Mahomes just does not want to throw to a receiver that's not open. Like, it doesn't matter if they're one-on-one. He does not want to do it. His career has showed us that. His play with Hopkins this last year showed us that he's not the type of quarterback that's going to have faith in somebody just coming down with the ball. And that's the receiver Hopkins is. He's not I'm going to get open receiver, and Mahomes can't seem to get anything going with him. So,
yeah. I mean,
unless he wants to do a vet min deal. If he wants to do a vet min deal, come on, Hopkins, get on in here.
Just for his influence on Worthy alone, but for his influence in the wide receiver room as a whole. Yep. And who knows, we could come show up with another rookie or first, second year guy in the wide receiver room that's priceless. Yep. for a veteran minimum deal. But does he still consider himself a top receiver, wanting top receiver money? It's possible. I mean, it's possible. I would love to think that he would do it because he just wants the championship so damn bad. But
yeah, but you just don't know. If he wants to take a small deal, I'm down to have him back. But if he wants the same that he got paid this last year, then I'm not really feeling that at all. I mean, he made $13 million last year. I don't want to pay him $13 million. I would rather give that to a Bolton.
What's the veteran minimum? Like 1.5?
I'm not sure. It's somewhere around there. I'm down for that, but I'm not down for him any more than that. But then Hollywood Brown, a lot of people are saying no. I say yes. I mean, unless he wants a ton of money, but I'm down to bring Hollywood back. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
He was $7 million last year. If he wants $7 million again, I'm down for that.
Yeah. And opposite of Rice, assuming that Rice comes back after the suspension and can come back kind of the way he left early this season. He was really showing promise, man. This was going to be an exciting season with Rice at wide receiver.
Yeah, and Worthy coming up. I just don't think. I think Hollywood Brown's fine. Justin Watson, you know me. I'm not a huge fan of him, but if he gets paid, $1 million, I'm fine with bringing him on. Like I'm cool with that. Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't know, man. Dude had
he's come up with some plays.
He's had some great games, but not but they don't use him a ton, so I don't know. But he's also, I mean, we need people that get open for Mahomes, and so I don't know. I don't really want to bring back Tyreek Hill. I'm not really good with that. A lot of people are talking about Cooper Kupp to the Chiefs.
I feel like that's going to be kind of along the same lines as DeAndre.
But Cooper still gets opened. He's a really good route runner. I mean, he gets open. He's going to be like Kelsey. He's going to get open, but he's not going to get that big
extra
play.
Yardage.
Yeah, that extra yardage anymore. And he is older, and there's a lot of weird stuff with his contract, which is the whole reason why they're trying to get him out, So I don't know that I really want to take on that. But let's move on to defensive tackle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people saying that that's like, our third biggest need. I don't know that that's true. I mean,
well, Tershawn Wharton is going to be a free agent, and that concerns me a little bit. I think Tershawn was kind of overshrouded by Chris Jones, Amenahue, and Karlaftis this year. He was solid when Chris Jones was out for that injury for what was it, a game and a half, 2 games, something like that. He really stepped up and he was solid.
And he can eat 12 eggs.
And he can eat 12 eggs. So, and Mike Pennell, he's had some.
Yeah.
He's had some plays. Derek Nottie had a big play in the playoffs.
Yeah. But, Tershawn Wharton is the only one I'm really.
Yeah, he's the only one I'm really concerned.
I want to keep him.
Would probably be a little bit strongly worded too. I'd love to keep him, but I don't think that's nearly as big of a need as the other, even number 4 and number 5 here.
Well, let's talk about number 4.
Yeah,
running back.
Yeah. So Kareem Hunt was on a 1-year deal, right? And P. Ryan. I think P. Ryan's going to be a free agent. I don't see them re-signing P. Ryan. Is Kareem Hunt the guy that you want for another year?
No, but if he'll take a vet minimum deal, I want. Wait, hold on. You said P. Ryan? You said P. Ryan?
No, I don't think P. Ryan's coming back.
Okay, I want Hunt to take over P. Ryan's spot as the third down running back. Hunt can catch out of the backfield and still has push for that 2 or 3 yards for a short yardage situation.
Echo to take over?
No. I want something very different. I want. Okay. This is a heavy running back draft, right? Meaning a lot of people will be sitting and waiting to draft running back. I want to take a running back with our first round pick. As long as not too many of them came off the board. Do you have a guy in mind, or do you have some characteristics in mind? There's a few guys that this is a good running back draft. There's a few guys. I don't have exactly which one I want, but as long as only 1 or 2 running backs has went when pick 31 comes up, I want to take running back. And this is why. If you look over Andy Reid's career, Andy Reid does not run the ball. He does not like to run the ball. But when Andy Reid has a premier running back, let's talk about Shady, LaShawn McCoy, runs all the time. When he had Kareem Hunt in his prime, runs all the time. If he has a premier back, he's going to run. And if he doesn't, it's going to be hard to make him run. And that's where I'm at. I'm down with a trade. I'm down with maybe signing a free agent. I haven't really seen. I don't think there's enough to check about the free agent running backs. But I want to get a premier running back. I want to get a good one. And,
I like the angle you're going with here. Andy Reid has such a strong influence on who the team drafts. And you just said he doesn't like to run. I have a hard time believing that they're going to go for a running back in the even if there's no running backs drafted at all by pick 31. I find it hard to believe that they would do that in the first round.
Brett Veach and Andy Reid are still on the same level, and both report to.
But if Reid says, Hunt, I don't want a running back in the first round, Veach is going to respect that. And Lamar Hunt, I think, is going to respect that.
If he was still alive, but Clark probably will.
Okay, yes. You're right.
Hey, apologies. Man, he's still here in our hearts. He's still here.
And apologies to the Clark family.
Yeah, I think Brett Veach could be like, Andy, you need a running back. And they'd be like, fine. I think they have a good relationship. That's what I have to believe. I think.
Oh, I'm 99% sure
but
they do.
Either way, if it has to be second round, fine. This is a really good running back class. I just really want a premier guy. I want them to take a back at least in the first 3 rounds. Don't get us another Pacheco in the 7th. You know, he was a steal for the 7th, but I think we need a premier running back to make Patrick's life a little easier and just make play action a little easier. It would help everything. It would help the O-line. It would be an effect that trickles across the entire team. And
trickle down.
Yeah, that's what I want.
I mean, you've sold me on the running back, the premier running back. I find it, and even after you said you want that in the first round, and I said I don't see that happening. You're like, well, you settled for in the first 3 rounds. Man, if we don't get this tackle thing at least band-aided up for the season.
If the tackle, I forget his name, but if the tackle that some people think could fall to us is there, definitely take the tackle. I just don't think, I think a team's going to take him just to make sure we don't get him. You know,
there's a lot of that.
So it's possible we might trade up. They might, basically there might be a team at like 22 that calls us and be like, hey, how much you want him? Because we're going to take him if you don't trade with us right now.
Yeah.
I want $150,000, but I'll sit outside of court right now for $50.
Yeah. Veach will be like, well, I've got a
bologna
sandwich over here.
Half a ham sandwich, but a full bologna sandwich and a couple fries.
Chips.
Yep.